foreign domestic workers in Hong Kong. There, as of the start of the year, out of 240,000 Filipino OFWs, or people abroad, Filipinos abroad in Hong Kong, 210,000 are Filipinas working in the household sector. And yet, in spite of their day jobs, a lot of them have broken through barriers. For instance, Lisa Avellino, who I've recently come to know, she's a mountaineer. She's been climbing mountains, literally, recently coming from Nepal. And she's formed the first all-woman Filipina dragon boat team in Hong Kong. Right? Isn't that amazing? Lian Hidalgo, whose photos you will see here, is an accomplished photographer. And I remember when I first met her, she said, you know, my dream is to take a picture of the Hong Kong skyline by night, because she never had that chance. Now she does. But, sorry, it just comes to show that in spite of so many odds, these women are breaking barriers. And what can they do more if we give them a platform to share their voices? You know? Every time I walk in Central on a Sunday, I start thinking to myself, right there, in the sea of cardboard boxes, there is a woman who is just like me. You know, she mirrors me in every way. She is just as talented, she is just as intelligent, and she is just as persevering. But we were born on the opposite sides of the spectrum, and I was born with opportunities, and she was not. And so I think now is a wonderful time. People are listening, and we strip down the story, go back to the basics, and listen to what these women really have to say. So I will let the film speak for itself now. Thank you for being here, and later we'll have our own Q&As, and please don't be afraid to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you so much for being here. It's embarrassing to admit that I did not actually know of how famous he was until on the first day of set, where people were actually following us around, and this was and his reach and his influence has just been affirmed when we went all the way to Udine, the Far Eastern Film Festival in Udine, Italy, in May, where people flocked, the Europeans flocked to see Mr. Anthony Wong. So he is a legend in many respects. And I think the best thing about working with people of his caliber and his professionalism is just that they're just very, very good. Very, very professional, very, very wonderful to work with, very patient on the set, with me at least, and a very generous and giving person. And I think with many professionals, you can't expect anything less. And I think that's a testament to the years that he's given his heart to this industry. And I have nothing but great respect and admiration for his work, both his talent and his ethics. Oh, and what he stands for. He's very outspoken, and he's very supportive of people. I would just like to add that he took on this role, not a job, because he wasn't paid for it. So he took it on, and I remember hearing him in one of the interviews where he said, because it's high time we cast a Filipina in the lead too. Because why do we have Hong Kong movies without Filipinos when in fact they're part of our society too? The audition process was maybe one or two scenes, one or two scripts, parts of the script, but a lot of it was discussion. And that's what I loved about Siu-kun. We exchanged ideas and our knowledge on the issue. When I first got to Hong Kong 12 years ago, while I was working for Disney, I would spend my weekends doing community work with our migrant workers and the organizations that support them. And so I had a lot of these stories. And in the audition, basically after doing a few scenes, Siu-kun and I just talked. We talked about the issue. We talked about what how I understood these women, and what kind of a voice would we want to portray? Good question. The inspiration for, according to Director Siukun, and we've been on a lot of international tours together, so I can actually paraphrase what she said. One day she said she was seated outside her home, and she saw a man in a wheelchair and his caregiver who was standing on a platform behind that wheelchair. And she said, "Oh, you know what? That looks like it was specially made for this person, and their relationship must be unique." And then she started wondering, what are the mechanics of this relationship? And she caught herself saying, "Why am I feeling uncomfortable if these two people develop a relationship that's very deep and strong?" This is so tough. I knew I'd have up close and personal questions here in Manila. It's making me revisit dreams that I thought I had left behind. So yes, when I left the Philippines in 2008, I had tried to pursue other things, and I'm very happy to now be able to do community work in Hong Kong and work in education. I run schools for creative arts for children, and my whole advocacy is to be able to put arts in education so that children and young people and their families will be able to connect with their means of expression, with their critical thinking skills, with their ability to empathize, which I have gladly learned from the theater and my experiences, because I'm the product of an environment that allowed a child to grow up in the arts. So the Sisters of St. Paul are here today. I remember multiple times when I had to miss classes. I started professional theater at the age of 10, and I would miss classes, or I would end up sleeping in class. And as long as I had good grades at the end of the term, they were very, very supportive. Every single show, they've been there. And look, it's been decades and they're still here. Also, Sir Pagsi, Mr. Onofre Pagsanhan. He's been a wonderful mentor, not just to me, but to all the many generations of young people whose minds and hearts have been inspired by him through Dulaang Sibol in Ateneo. And I remember Sir Pagsi, you told me that this is but a means to an end, and I realized then that the theater is not just about being on the spotlight and saying bravo, thank you, here I am. It's about making sure that it's a platform for other people to be heard. Because if you have found your voice and you have a chance to speak it out, we need to find a chance for other people to be able to speak theirs. And I think that's a wonderful lesson that I've learned from my education and the environment in the Philippines. I have a lot of friends here from various parts of my life, from rap, from theater, and I think it's wonderful to pass it on. But at the same time, and no, it's not a but. And at the same time, now that I think I've been at a phase where I'm able to share that love for the arts, I'm thinking now is a good time to see how can I reach a bigger platform, and this might be a good chance.